If moms and dads have different strategies to build this connection and the sync with children, and how different is this from your research?
It's very different. I don't know that we know a lot from the research perspective, but fathers have different personalities, different interests. They bring different things to the table, and it's that dyadic interaction that to me is so unique to that child and that parent, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, you can have this, a family of 3 children, and each child and each parent has this distinct, unique interaction. Unfortunately, in research, we tend to just focus on the focal child because money and resources and all of this. But you think of this family as having 3 distinct relationships, if you like, dyadics going on. Sometimes one dyadic is better than the other. We think about that and we call it goodness of fit. There's some people, some kids that you just like, you just kind of connect better, you kind of get each other, and another child might be a little harder to connect, to understand. It's not always alone gender. It's not just moms and daughters and dads and sons. I think it's across gender. I would think temperament. So for example, in my family, my husband is super historical minded. I mean, I love history, but I'm not, I'm not historically minded like that. If we go on a walk, he'll be pointing out to all the historical things that are happening. And me, I'd be thinking of something else. I mean, that is super interesting and important. It's something that I don't do to our children. One of my children is history major, and history, he got a master's degree in history. My other child is more like me because we share their interests. So, you provide your children with lots of opportunities for them to develop their own interests, but there's going to be a relationship that's easier. And I think for parents, instead of being, we tend to think, oh my God, what's happening? What is wrong with her or what is wrong with him? We need to step back and say, this is a relationship that is so unique. Where is the communication? How are you and I going to develop that foundational skill? Because it is different and sometimes it's easier, and easy is always better. So we don't have a lot of research, but I think from what we know, we can think about trying to nurture those relationships very different and understanding. I mean, it's great when a parent says to me, she really likes her cereal in a bowl and she likes it at 45-degree angles to her plate. But my son couldn't care less. He that to me is like, you're so attuned to what your children and you are, and you are willing to accommodate the 45-degree cereal plate, but he it's okay. And it is those little things that make that, mom might be, oh my gosh, you're being crazy. But dad might say, yeah, have your plate at 45 degrees. It's okay, Mm-hmm. So I think this is those little things that are really hard to capture in research that really make that relationship unique and strong. But it's a constant effort. It has to be, to build like that. We know from relationship research, you have to continue to nurture and support it across time. It's not just one time. Mm-hmm. And it's over, but yeah.
These examples sort of reveals to me a little bit how the things are generally in parenting, in terms of that, especially for the very young kids, that this is a mom's job mostly.
Yeah.
And the dad is helping, I would say, this kind of idea. It's not full co-parenting and full involvement, and quite honestly, sometimes driven by us women, like, okay, I know how to do stuff, you probably don't know how to do stuff. I've read these 5 books, you haven't read this book, so I know better. And how do you think what's important shift should be happening, that we actually hear more voices of the fathers and their experiences in parenting, because and how they build their relationships with their kids?
Yeah, that is such a good question as well. I think, we should ask the kids because I think a lot of us have, and a lot of researchers too, we bring our own experiences to the table. So, if whatever, and some of us are, not young, not that we're old, but I mean, in terms of cohort effects, like for example, just last semester, I asked my students, so who in your house, where did you learn how to cook? Or who taught you in your home how to cook? All the boys say, my dad. I go, oh, your dad, not your mom. No, my dad is the one who cooks. My dad is the one who does this. So there's a lot more. Who do you go to when, something happens? It's split, my dad or my mom. I mean, so a lot of the fathers are playing a very active role. The kids know this. I don't think we know this because the kids understand that the fathers are super important in their lives, and they have this relationship. And the fathers, we have a whole generation of dads, millennials or a little older, who have been, grew up with the idea, I'm not going to be like my dad. My dad was never there for me. I'm going to be more active. And we know a little, actually not much. I'm trying to do a focus group with those dads this summer to really understand what kind of parenting are you doing, because I think we have outdated ideas of what fathers are doing from older research. We really need to understand these young kids who are more likely to have partners who work outside their home. They're splitting childcare. Childcare is super expensive. They're doing a lot more diaper changing and feeding and all this stuff. And those things are not just, diaper changing and feeding are just not independent activities that you do like robotic. Those are such good opportunities to develop a relationship with your child. You talk, you entertain one another. Those are really important. That's a context of development early on. So I think those dads are so much more emotionally invested in those kids than we think. So asking the children, they know that the fathers are involved and they are the parent. Even with young women, I said, oh, I'm much closer to my dad. My mom takes a fit about this. My dad is super cool. I go to him. So I just don't know that we understand, as well, what fathers mean to kids, because we haven't done that work.